AITA for telling my wife not to come to my ex-wife's funeral to support my daughter because my daughter doesn't want her there. Okay, deep breaths. I never thought I'd be putting this out there, asking strangers on the internet for perspective, but honestly, my head is spinning and I feel like I'm navigating a minefield blindfolded. The title I'm wrestling with is, Am I the jerk for telling my wife not to come to my ex-wife's funeral to support my daughter because my daughter doesn't want her there? And yeah, it sounds harsh just saying it, but the reality is so much more tangled than a simple headline can capture. My ex-wife, Clara, died a few days ago. It was sudden, unexpected, one of those awful calls you never think you'll actually receive. We share a daughter, Chloe, who just turned 14, and right now, she's completely adrift in a sea of grief. Our divorce, Chloe's mom's and mine, wasn't pretty. There's no single big event, no cheating scandal that blew everything up, but we were just not good for each other. We brought out the worst in one another, wore each other down until there was nothing left but resentment. We were both responsible for the breakdown, carrying our own share of the blame. For a while after the split, we actually managed to keep things relatively civil, focusing on Chloe, trying to present a united front for her sake. We coordinated schedules, attended parent-teacher conferences together, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't perfect, but we were making it work, trying to put her first despite the lingering bitterness. Then about 5 years ago, I met Sarah, my current wife, and things shifted dramatically. Meeting Sarah was like stepping out of a long, gray fog into sunshine. She's warm, kind, steady. Everything Clara and I weren't together. We fell in love, got married, and about 4 years ago, Sarah got pregnant with our son, Leo. That should have been a purely joyful time, but it coincided with Clara seemingly deciding that my happiness was a personal affront. The co-parenting truce evaporated. Clara started a campaign, subtle at first, then increasingly overt, to turn Chloe against Sarah. It was textbook parental alienation. Little comments here and there, twisting situations, painting Sarah as this interloper, this woman trying to replace her mom. I saw what was happening, and I tried everything I could think of to stop it, to counteract the narrative Clara was weaving. We ended up back in court, fighting over custody modifications and parental conduct. It was ugly, expensive, and deeply stressful, especially for Sarah, who was heavily pregnant and just tried to build a loving home. Despite the court orders and my best efforts, Clara was largely successful. She managed to wedge this deep-seated suspicion and resentment into Chloe's mind regarding Sarah. The bond I'd hoped would form between them never materialized. Chloe keeps Sarah at arm's length, polite sometimes, but mostly distant, occasionally lapsing into outright rudeness, especially when she was younger. I always stepped in when that happened, making it clear that disrespect wasn't acceptable. I told Chloe countless times, you don't have to love her, you don't have to be best friends, but you must be respectful. She is my wife, Leo's mother, and she lives in this home. The overt rudeness mostly faded as Chloe got older, probably realizing it got her nowhere, but that wall she built around her heart when it came to Sarah, it's remained solid granite. She just shuts Sarah out. Totally. Now, Clara is gone. Just like that. And Chloe is understandably shattered. She's cycling through numbness, sobbing fits, and this raw, ragged anger that feels directed at the whole world. And caught in the crossfire of this grief storm is the funeral. Chloe has been absolutely adamant, crystal clear through her tears and her fury. She does not want Sarah there. She doesn't want our son, her little brother Leo, who is only 3.5, there either. Sarah, however, desperately wants to go. Her argument is rooted in what she sees as her duty and love as a stepmother. She keeps saying that Chloe is hurting, and if she, as the other maternal figure in her life now, isn't there to show support, Chloe will remember that absence forever. She thinks skipping the funeral will be interpreted as abandonment, as proof of everything Clara might have said about her not caring. She worries it will cement the divide between them permanently. She argues that, at the very least, she needs to be there, even if maybe Leo is too young to handle it or understand. She truly believes that showing up, even in the face of Chloe's explicit rejection, is the only way to demonstrate her love and commitment, the only path forward to potentially healing their fractured relationship someday. The situation exploded yesterday. Sarah was talking, maybe a little too loudly, about arranging childcare for Leo so she could attend, about wanting to be there for Chloe to support her. Chloe overheard from the next room. She flew out, her face pale, eyes red-rimmed and blazing. She screamed, truly screamed at the top of her lungs, words tumbling out, laced with so much pain it was hard to listen. "You are not coming," she yelled, pointing a trembling finger at Sarah. "You hated my mom. You always wanted her gone. You're not comfort. You're the last person I want there. Nobody wants you there. Stay away." It was brutal, raw, and deeply unfair, fueled by unimaginable grief twisting her perception. But it was also undeniably her boundary, screamed from the depths of her broken heart. Seeing Chloe in that state, hearing those words, something in me just solidified. Later, after Chloe had stormed off and slammed her door, leaving a vibrating silence in the house, I told Sarah, gently but firmly, that she couldn't go. I told her I would be there for Chloe, that I would represent our whole family's sorrow and support. I acknowledged that Chloe probably has complicated feelings about even me being there, given our history with her mom, but ultimately, Chloe does want me there. Sarah was devastated. She cried, saying she felt like I was choosing sides, that I wasn't supporting her. She asked how this helps her be a good stepmom, how abandoning Chloe now aligns with the love she feels. She repeated her fear. She'll never forgive me for not being there. This will be the thing she holds against me forever. It's a huge risk. I try to explain my reasoning again. Maybe, I conceded, maybe she will look back and feel hurt you weren't there. It's a possibility. But Sarah, right now, in this moment of absolute agony, forcing your presence on her when she's explicitly begged you not to come, I think it's a bigger risk. It could backfire spectacularly. It could prove, in her grieving, irrational mind, that you don't respect her feelings, that you're trying to take her mom's place. I pointed out that respecting this boundary, however painful it is for Sarah, might actually be the most supportive thing she can do right now. It shows Chloe that her feelings, even the messy, grief-stricken ones, matter. It shows her Sarah isn't trying to erase Clara. Dealing with the death of a parent you had a complex relationship with is confusing enough. Adding the dynamic with Clara, the alienation, makes it infinitely harder. As I told Sarah, it's incredibly difficult to see the flaws in someone once they're gone, especially when they die young. Clara is likely being idealized in Chloe's mind right now, and any perceived slight from Sarah will be magnified 1,000 times. Showing up against her wishes could cement Sarah as the villain in Chloe's narrative forever. Chloe actually reached out to Dr. Ramirez, the family therapist we've seen intermittently over the years, to help navigate the post-divorce dynamics. She needed someone neutral to talk to. Dr. Ramirez listened to Chloe, and later, when I spoke with her separately, she confirmed that, in her professional opinion, respecting Chloe's wishes about the funeral was the most appropriate course of action right now, given the history and Chloe's current fragile state. Presenting this clinical validation didn't really soothe Sarah, though. She just looked defeated, tears welling up again. "I wanted your support, us against the problem," she whispered. "But it feels like you're just telling me to step back, to be less of a mom to her, right when she might need one most, even if she can't see it. She feels like I'm actively hindering her relationship with Chloe, essentially validating Chloe's rejection of her. So here I am, caught between the raw grief of my daughter and the deep hurt of my wife. I feel like I'm making the least damaging choice in an impossible situation, prioritizing my daughter's immediate, desperate need for control and space in her moment of crisis. But Sarah's words echo in my head. Am I setting a precedent? Am I damaging her bond with Chloe beyond repair by asking her to respect this boundary? Am I the jerk for putting my daughter's explicitly stated grief-fueled wish above my wife's desire to offer support in the way she thinks is best? The funeral is tomorrow, and the tension in this house is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Every time Sarah and I look at each other, there's this chasm of unspoken hurt and disagreement. I just keep thinking about standing there tomorrow, next to my sobbing daughter, knowing my wife is at home, feeling rejected and unsupported, and wondering if I've made a terrible mistake.